There we go. The rise and fall of RG3 film breakdown of what really happened. Let's see about this. All right. Let's see. Shout out to Alex Rollins. Another potential banger. You know what I'm saying? Dark side, I'm gonna be sad. Oh man. I'm curious because I was just having this conversation. I forgot what video I was watching. I was watching one highlight. I can't remember which one it was, but this conversation popped up. So I'm curious what his take is on it.
The story of Robert Griffin III is one of the more tragic tales we've watched unfold. One that's filled with ego, success, but ultimately struggle. A story that's filled with the highest of highs, then followed by the lowest of lows. One filled with RG3 made out as a hero and as a villain, and at times, both simultaneously. There are many misconceptions over what happened in Washington and why everything came crashing down so quickly. Who's to blame, who's at fault, and why a promising young career was ruined. Today we'll peel back every layer starting from the very beginning and go through every element of why RG3 had one of the most prolific rookie seasons of all time, and then nothing. He first burst onto the scene as a high school football track star who even
He promised his
graduated a
mother he
semester
wouldn't get
early
hurt.
to go and
Wow.
post near Olympic qualifying times at Baylor. However, his real sights were set on playing quarterback onto the scene as a high school football track star who even graduated a semester early to go and post near Olympic qualifying times at Baylor. However, his real sights were set on playing quarterback and turning the Bears football program around, which he did. In his junior year in 2011, he won the Heisman Trophy, edging out Andrew Luck, who we'll see again in just a sec, and proved himself to be a devastating dual threat both on the ground and through the air. A month after receiving the award, he announced he would be entering the NFL draft, and there was one team that simply could not help themselves. The Washington football team was sitting at 6 overall, but then decided to trade that pick, their second rounder, a future first the next year, and a future first the year after that to move up just 4 spots to number 2 to draft either RG3 or Andrew Luck. After the Colts took Luck, Griffin headed to Washington where legendary coach Mike Shanahan and his son Kyle were waiting and preparing a plan that would take the league by storm. What then followed altered the league forever. RG3 threw for 3,200 yards and 20 touchdowns while running 120 times for 815 yards and 7 house calls. Washington was coming off of 4 consecutive last place finishes in the NFC East, but RG3 led them to a division title and won himself Rookie of the Year, beating Andrew Luck.
But it took them to the
man
playoffs
who was
his rookie
just
year.
drafted 1 spot in front of him. After his incredible rookie season, many people even questioned if he should have gone ahead of Luck in the draft, which made many wonder, how did RG3 find so much success in that 2012 season? Well, when the right player meets the right system, that's when magic happens. The system that the Shanahans designed for him when he landed in Washington has been called many things: innovative, college offense, gimmicky, and much more. Sure, there were aspects that had yet to penetrate the mainstream NFL offense, but Washington's scheme really was about 70% classic Shanahan wide zone play action bootleg concepts, like we've talked about a million times before in this channel, and only about 30% of the zone read package concepts, which are really what grabbed all the headlines and set the football world on fire.
Dak did the same thing.
The main headline grabbing concept was the standard read option, which should really be called the zone read. The zone read had been utilized before in the NFL, but never within a package that was this developed and diverse. Even the formation they used, the pistol, where Griffin's a couple of steps behind the center with the running back behind him, was somewhat new to the NFL and gave defenses a look they were not accustomed to. Ideally, when defending the run, defenses want to have a +1 advantage in the box, meaning they have one more defender than the offense's blockers, which doesn't count the QB, he's not a blocker, or the running back because he's usually the guy getting the ball. A +1 advantage means the defense has a man for each gap, as well as an extra man to hit the ball carrier when everyone gets blocked. But the zone read changes that math. The concept chooses a defender to leave completely unblocked and lets the QB read him. And watch how RG3 turns to the side when he does this, that'll keep popping up. If Jason Pierre-Paul sits outside for him, the ball goes to the back, who would have an open lane if this guy makes the block. And when Pierre-Paul crashes down inside, nobody's left to handle RG3, who flies down the field for 40 yards. What the Shanahans were able to do off this zone read play was perfectly blend a few simple concepts that all look the same, while also playing off the previous play. Washington didn't have many concepts,
Slide.
but when the defense sold out to stop one thing, they could just call another that was equally as devastating. One of the ways they accomplished this was by packaging plays, which bundles multiple concepts into one. On RG3's first drive ever, after seeing the zone read, the Saints bring 8 men into the box and are showing a nickel firing off the edge. Washington's call is actually the zone read, so the O-line's blocking like it's a run, but RG3 also has the option to throw the bubble screen outside when he sees a nickel blitzing, essentially making this an RPO. Shanahan called 6 screen passes in a row to begin RG3's career, and on the season they threw the 3rd highest percentage of screens. Defenses were so terrified of RG3 tearing around the edge on these zone reads, it created wide open space outside for a non-stop barrage of quick, easy passes. If the defense condenses inside to stop the run, we throw it outside where they're not. It's that simple. If defenses loaded up the box and had a man for each defender, Washington dialed up play action, which they ran at the highest rate in the league. 40% of RG3's passes came on play action for 1,880 yards. For
I think that was Santana Moss.
There's not a soul who's topped that since. He averaged a ludicrous 11.4 yards per attempt on play action and just 5.8 a pop without. Washington really just ran 3 play action concepts, but when everything looks the same and each concept plays off the next, you don't need to run a lot of different stuff. Their most effective play fake was the drift concept, which is a quick in-breaking dig route that takes advantage of over-aggressive linebackers. When the Giants sold out to stop the zone read, we can see how easy some of these completions were. Look at the 3 defenders all set to blow up the zone read and all the space that creates in the second level. It's not like in the first year defenses didn't have answers for it, it's just their answers only stopped one thing at a time, when in the following years, their answers would stop 2 or 3. After defenses saw how many explosive plays Washington was generating off this drift concept, Shanahan dialed up deep posts to take advantage of any safeties looking to jump the route, and RG3 had the arm strength to put it 65 yards downfield on a dime. Every one of Washington's zone read, play action style concepts played off each other perfectly, and kept making defenses wrong no matter what they did. When you pair that package with the Shanahan wide zone run package, which is the more standard, typical concept.
It's funny. It's the same thing like with Dak and Zeke. They were both rookies. Came in, went crazy. They had RG3 and Alfred Morris. Both the rookies came in, went crazy. Same thing. Why does it look better than the Ravens zone reads?
That style of run helped 6th-round pick Alfred Morris run for 1,600 yards, which made their non-zone read play action concepts deadly as well. But as we know, success in the NFL doesn't last long.
Argentina won.
Late in the season,
all right, in the future, bro, don't spoil games. In the future, if it's going on,
then set out a game.
Be like, you should watch the highlights.
Yada-yadaing over a few details. In the first round of the playoffs, he tore his ACL and LCL, and Washington fell to the Seahawks. Much has been made about what happened next. The story goes that either RG3 went to the owner Dan Snyder, or his parents went to Snyder. Nobody will ever know. But Snyder then ordered the Shanahans to change their offensive system to protect RG3 by cutting down his running and to develop him into a dropback style quarterback. His running ability, which is what made him special and unique, Washington started to move away from. And when you take away just that one aspect of their offense, every one of their concepts became infinitely easier to defend. They lost all of the explosiveness that he brought with his legs, so defenses just sat back on the screens and all the play action stuff, and everything started to crumble. Instead of the 11.4 yards per attempt off play action he had in 2012, he had just 7.3 in 2013, and his passer rating on throws of 20 plus yards went from 107 all the way down to 57. Defenses didn't figure out the zone read because it'll never be figured out, but RG3 lost just a little bit of his speed, and defenses developed better answers over the offseason. Their study showed that most of his explosive runs came outside and along the sideline, where he could become a track runner and sprint dead ahead. So they made sure their force defenders played extra heavy outside to force him to lose some of his acceleration from changing course, which additionally made him run towards the bigger guys waiting to
So it sounded like the combination of his injury and then their play calling. Whoever injured RG3, I think it was when they played the Ravens. But so it sounded like the combination of his injury and coaching, both of them things. Well, not injury. Yeah, I mean not play. It's an injury and teams figuring out their scheme. Said I doubt it. No, it was. I forgot who it was. I could have sworn it was the Ravens. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna look for it. But yeah, so injury and then teams just adjusting. That's what it sound like the two things. He lost explosiveness and then teams adjusted.
His true downfall was his desire to become a drop-back quarterback and his drastic miscalculations of how difficult that would be. As Mike Shanahan said, he didn't have the anticipation or ability to slide in the pocket, and that was evident from studying his film. He struggled to read the field, progressed from the front side of a concept to the back side. He had difficulty seeing second-level receivers come open, so he checked it down way too often. And his footwork was never tied to his eyes, so he was almost always late on the throw. He didn't just struggle physically, but mentally and situationally, like when defenses were sending the blitz.
I thought it was in the playoffs.
When opposing teams.
He hurt it in the regular season, and then he re-injured it in the playoffs, at least from what I remember. He got hurt. It was one of the two. Is it me or his leg doesn't look straight? He got a brace on right here. He got a brace on his leg. So I think this is the second year. This is the second year. He got a brace. Injury was against Baltimore. Yeah, I thought so. It was Baltimore in the regular season, and then he got re-injured in the playoffs. What's up, Darvin?
He completed 67% of his passes with a 134 rating. But in 13, he completed just 54% with an 84 rating. He struggled with sight adjust and understanding when he was hot, which are things that take time to learn. And since he had never played as a true drop-back pocket quarterback through high school, at Baylor, or his first year with Washington, and he was rehabbing from his ACL during the time he needed to learn a foreign system and style, it was all truly a recipe for disaster. He didn't lose as much speed as people think he did, but he certainly wasn't the same. And when defenses were no longer terrified of him sprinting down the field, the play action stopped working, the run game wasn't as effective, and RG3 couldn't punish them as a true drop-back quarterback. After starting 3-10 in his second season, he was again injured and got benched for Kirk Cousins. And then, after an injury early in 2014, another in early 2015, Washington flat out released him. It's almost unfair to judge the way he played after he lost some of his game-changing speed, because that was the straw that stirred the drink. It would be like if Mahomes lost his arm strength, or you gave Derrick Henry a mini mushroom that shrunk him down to 5'8", 170. Griffin's speed was his foundation, which supported every other part of his game and the Washington offense. By removing his foundation, that made everything else fall apart. In my opinion, if he had never gotten hurt and had never tried to change into somebody he was not, RG3 would still be a quality starter in the league. Nothing gets figured out in this league. The zone read has dominated the college game for decades and has been effective in the NFL when it's been used. But what happened to RG3 scared teams away from basing out of it, which is why it's not as prevalent today. The important lesson and moral to this story is to stay true to who you are. Robert Griffin tried to become somebody he was not by moving away from his strengths and what made him special. He completely altered his game, and in turn, it ruined his career. Whether you're in the NFL, or really whatever you do, stay true to who you are, and cherish the things that make you special. RG3 has stayed in the league as a backup and mentored the next crop of quarterbacks who are trying to replicate his early career success. The NFL is a cyclical league, and in ways the next Robert Griffin III has already established himself. RG3's story is pure tragedy, but for the next guy, the lessons he learned from him will only make him stronger.
I wish you would have bounced back, but hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Yeah. Hey, Hall. Man amongst boys, I walk with the Lord. Gotta be careful what you say because your tongue is a sword. Why you